Hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about the very confusing slides, at least for me, about Arabic music theory. And I'm hoping that this will make sense to you after I get through with it. The main thing to know is that in Arabic music theory, they build their scales that are different going up and down. If you studied music, this is like ascending and descending melodic minors. And they build them out of tetrachords, or four-note units. Now, all of the technology that's on the slide that you see now, you don't really need to know. That's way more detailed than they needed to get into. I have a sneaky suspicion that our author may be an expert in Arabic music theory. So there are all these different versions of the scale ascending and descending, and this graphic shows us one. This shows a different one. The little slash marks through the flat signs on the E's indicate that those are quarter tones, so notes in between our notes. This is something that we find in Middle Eastern music. We also find it in Indian music. And there's some connection between Middle Eastern and Indian music that I haven't sorted out yet. But I know there's also a connection between Indian music and Western music that we haven't sorted out yet. So it's kind of an interesting problem, but we don't have time for all of that necessarily today. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Then these other concepts that are introduced here relating to scales are also important. The one thing to remember is that there is a lot of non-pulsatile music involved in Arabic music. That means there's no beat. It's completely free-formed or rubato. And that they improvise their way through these non-pulsatile sections on a maqam, and that they often emphasize principal notes within the scale. That's going to be something we also find in Indian classical music in the way that they handle the ragas. The raga doesn't dictate an exact pattern the way a Western scale may, but they emphasize notes within that grouping to give it direction and shape. You can modulate within the Arabic system, and it's slightly different than what we do, but it is taking the same basic melodic format and moving it to a different pitch root level. The other thing that I wanted to bring up just for a second, you guys have already gotten through this a lot on the discussion boards, is that the rhythmic theory in Arab music is based on a pattern or a cycle that is often much longer and more complicated than the meters that we would have in Western classical music. And as I've talked about on the message boards, the dum and the tak aren't really volume changes, but they're timbre changes that outline these beat divisions, and they have this example below. There's a quadruple meter that they give an example of here, and then there are other more complicated meters. So I just wanted to go through a little bit of that theory stuff that I don't think is very clear in the book, and I don't think it's particularly clear on the slides. And I'll have more of these short little videos coming. As you know, there have been some technological issues this summer, and I'm hoping to overcome them. So I'll talk to you again soon.